Howdy everyone. Tonight I am going to make a chicken Santa Fe or a Santa Fe chicken saute, and I'm going to use the following ingredients. Now this is a recipe that I found online. It's a heart healthy recipe, and I'm going to tell you what to use to make the complete recipe, but I'm going to be halving everything that I say pretty much. So everything you see here, you may see some of it a little bit less when I'm actually cooking it, but I will tell you how much to use to make the complete meal. Okay, so you will need one whole zucchini cubed, and that is almost 2 cups there. It's about 1.5 cups. The recipe does not ask for zucchini. This is something that I'm adding to it to make it a little bit heartier. It asks for a can of whole corn, and I've already drained it. I'm going to use half of it. It asks for a can of black beans, rinsed and drained. Again, I'm only going to use half. It asks for 4 green onions, chopped up. I don't have any green onions, so I decided to use a red onion. And that is almost 1/2 cup, about. I would say, yeah, it's about 1/2 cup. And you can use any other onion you want, or you can just leave that out. It asks for some cilantro. And basically, that's just going to be added on the top because it does add for 2 tablespoons of cilantro. But I also use cilantro in something else that I'm going to add to this. So I may not use all of that. It asks for a can of Campbell's Healthy Request. This is a heart healthy tomato soup. I'm going to use half a can as well of that. I'm going to be using a tablespoon of olive oil to cook with. Now it asks for a cup, let's see, 1/2 cup. It asks for 1/2 cup of paste picante sauce. I don't want to use the paste picante sauce because it does contain some salt, and I am trying to make no salt meals right now, or as little salt as I can. My husband is just out of the hospital, and he was asked to cut his salt. Now, he wasn't told no salt at all. He was told to cut it, to reduce it. But I'm cutting it because he's fresh out and I don't want to risk anything. So I'm just made my own salsa. In here is some chopped tomatoes, and I used about 4 Roma tomatoes. Chopped them up, just coarsely chopped, big chunks. It has cilantro. It has 1 whole serrano pepper that I chopped up. It's got some olive oil and about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of water. And I put this in my soup maker, or you can put it in a little pot, heat it up, then put it in a blender and blend it up to make it into this liquidy form that I have here. And of course I added a ton of cilantro to this because I want to let this cool off, and I want to save this in my refrigerator to use in other recipes. And I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of this because the full recipe does ask for half, so I'm going to use 1/4 cup. And it asks for 4 skinless, boneless chicken breasts. I'm using 2, and the recipe did not ask me to cube it, but I'm cubing it. And it does say to add cumin powder and chili powder to this. I went ahead and I also added some pepper. So to this, I'm adding some cumin, which the recipe originally asked for. Just sprinkle it on. Now this seasonings are what's going to give the chicken flavor. So you add on what you want to, what you feel like you would like in there. That's about as much as I'm going to add to my chicken. This chicken will get sauteed in the tablespoon of olive oil till it's fully cooked, and then I will pull it out of that pan. Now, the recipe also asks for a tablespoon of, well, actually a teaspoon of minced garlic, and I'm out of fresh garlic, so I'm going to use some garlic powder. And that minced garlic would get sauteed with the vegetables in the pan, but like I said, I don't have any fresh garlic, so I'm going to use garlic powder straight up on my chicken right now. So that's what I'm going to add to this. There you go, and just add to your desired amount. You know, don't go overboard, but especially on the pepper. The pepper will give you heartburn, so you're just going to be careful on that. All right, I'll be back and I'll show you what to do next. Right here I have the chicken sauteing, and now I'm just going to Stir it around a little bit. Make sure all the pieces are fully cooked. And then I'm going to pull them out and put them in a little covered bowl and save them for when I am ready to use. Now, because my son does not like onions or really the zucchini squash, I'm going to use the remainder of my ingredients, like the corn and the beans, and some of this chicken in there, and make him his own little saute with a little bit of the tomato soup and the chicken broth. And I'll be back to show you how this ends up going and the vegetables that I'm going to throw in there. Alright, so I pulled out the chicken, and like I said, I was going to throw some into a separate little pan for my son. I've got that going, so I've got the chicken here resting and waiting. Should be covered, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that because I'm going to move kind of fast. I am going to now, if I had the minced garlic, I would add the garlic in there. But like I said, I added garlic powder, so that's okay. I'm adding some onions. Some red onions. If these were green onions, this would be what the recipe would call for. I decided to use red onions because that is what I had. And I'm just going to move them around a little bit in the oil here. Now, because I'm adding zucchini to this, it's going to take a little bit longer to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and add my zucchini that I cubed and add it to this. Instead of using, the recipe called for half a cup of water, and I decided to use chicken broth instead of water to give it flavor. But instead of just using, since I have my recipe, I said I was going to use quarter cup. I'm going to go ahead and use the whole half cup of chicken broth in this because I need that zucchini to cook up. And I may even add a little bit extra. Okay, so what I want to do is I want this zucchini to cook up first, and you know, further along, because my corn is already cooked, obviously in the can. The beans are already cooked and the chicken's already cooked. So I need the zucchini to cook. So I'm going to cover this and let it simmer in here for about 7 or 8 minutes before I add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so it's been about 7 minutes and my zucchini is getting translucent and it's getting tender. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients, and I'm going to close it up and saute it another 7 minutes. And so here's the corn, the remainder of it, the remainder of the beans, a little bit of corn left in that little bit, the remainder of the tomato sauce. And I'll just make sure in a little bit that I did get it all here. And the salsa that I made, or you can use your own picante sauce. And then some, well, the cilantro I'm going to save for the end. Let me mix this up really well. Get this going here. It looks so pretty. I tasted the little bit that I made for my son. That came out really delicious. So you can make this without the zucchini, and without the onions, and you know, if your kids want to eat it that way, add a little bit of salt, and if, you know, they can have it. That's fine. Okay, now I'm going to add the chicken that I've already cooked, and all I really want now is for the zucchini to finish cooking up, and for all the flavors to kind of combine and marry each other. And when this is done, I will sprinkle the cilantro. Like I said, there is cilantro in my sauce, my salsa that I made, so I don't have to add it to the cooking process. But the little bit that I had left over, I'm going to sprinkle on top just so it looks pretty when I serve it. I'm going to cover this up, like I said, and I'm going to lower this to a very low simmer and leave it there for about 7 minutes. Now, if you wanted, you could add some low-fat Mexican blend cheese on top if you wanted to add extra flavor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up some lettuce, heat up some tortillas, and that's how I'm going to serve it. And I'll show you how that looks after this is done. And here we are with the plated Santa Fe chicken. Served with some tortillas, a lemon wedge, and of course the cilantro that I had. A little bit left there. I'm going to sprinkle some of it on top. You could sprinkle some cheese like I said before, maybe some queso fresco, or just your favorite Mexican blend of cheeses. I'm going to cut this off because I don't like that little stem. Alright, just remove it. There we go. The finished plate. Isn't that pretty? And it tastes delicious. I already took a taste of this. It didn't need any salt. The chili pepper, the cumin, the little bit of, not chili pepper, but the chili powder, A little bit of cumin, the pepper, and the garlic powder that I added a lot of flavor to this. It's really delicious. Of course, you know, cooking it in a little bit of olive oil adds a little bit extra flavor. I'm going to squeeze some lime on it now. And that salsa that I made gave it just a little bit of a kick that I was looking for. So this is perfect, and I think my husband will enjoy it. This is a nice, heart, healthy meal that I plan on doing again. And maybe with some ground turkey or just turkey. So what if you have any ideas? If you have any ideas of how to change this up, or your own heart healthy chicken sort of same style of a meal, please place it down below in your comments, or maybe link us if there is a recipe online that you know of. And just let me know what you think. If you did try my recipe as is, let me know what you thought of it, if you liked it, or what would you change on it. Also, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, and enjoy.